It's a hot one in Cary, North Carolina, the knockout rounds. Round of 32 underway in the men's competition, and we move along into mid-afternoon on this Friday. The defending champions of 2024, La Bombonera, begin their title defense for real. It's win or go home, and they get the 6'10" group out of Philadelphia who just qualified in that final spot for the third place teams. Hi everyone, I'm Neil Sika, here to have some fun. Well, the 6'10" by the slimmest of margins got in late last night after a loss to Drip FC. Well, what's their reward? They get a team that is 12-0 in the competition in their first 2 years. And La Bombonera was put to the test in their final group stage game against Liga Foot 7. But they have the depth and the talent to make a run at winning it again. But the 6'10", much like the city of brotherly love, they feel they've been overlooked. And so they've got that resilient group ready to play here today. Let's take a look at the rules for the soccer tournament. 7v7 with 20-minute halves. You can't be offside, and there are no throw-ins. Of course, the headline feature of this competition, unlike anywhere in the world, match ends on a goal in target score time. Very humid conditions here on field 2 for this matchup. La Bombonera also played late last night. The same for the 6'10". Jean-Claude Ramirez is usually the first half starter in goal. Popper, Carlos Hernandez. Javier Gallegos had the golden fleece last night with the game-winning goal in target score time against Liga Foot 7. Jake Schwein is the player GM of the 6'10", a former college soccer player who had the ambition to bring this group along. He felt that Philadelphia's got a lot of underlying talent that is overlooked. And they were in a very tough group too. Club America, which they beat. They lost to Nani FC and Drip FC. And of the 8 third-place teams out of the possible 12 groups, they got the last spot off of goal differential with a record of 1-2. And their reward is La Bombonera, but they won't be in awe of them. La Bombonera, a professional performance. Maybe didn't even have their best stuff in their finale against Liga Foot 7, but their depth shined through, and they didn't get phased, especially when they went down in that game. The dark uniforms for the 6'10". Very humid conditions here in Cary, North Carolina for this matchup. And looking forward to bringing it to you. Scores from around the rest of the knockout rounds to the top right corner of your screen. Aldo Manzonis sends it back, and we are underway. La Bombonera, the genesis of their outfit from Newcastle, Delaware. That's a soccer facility. And their owner, GM Juan Perez, head coach Moises Velasco, Marlon Trejo, also an assistant coach. Talked about their advanced scouting network across for Arena Soccer League players in the United States and the North American continent. And they rose to the occasion last year by going 8-0 and taking the $1 million prize. 7v7 for 7 figures come Monday night. There's the pony, Gallegos, was wearing the bib late on in target score time. That game had everything in the opening 40 minutes for La Bombonera. But a quick turnaround for both of these teams to play right at the lunch hour here on Friday. Ivan Mojica carries on in field. Expect this La Bombonera team to dominate possession. 6'10" has shown a lot of ability to be disciplined in defending in the low block and then get out and counter. Here's Mojica on the spin. And the pass over in the direction of Fabrizio Tavano. Manzonis. Sense of intricate passing. No work Jean-Claude Ramirez. They usually go with a 2-goalkeeper system, La Bombonera. Ivan Munoz goes into the action, usually in the second half and for target score time. Substitute on the fly. Target score time, those substitutions have to come off a dead ball. Bombonera in the burgundy and gold, along with those white shorts. They'll exercise patience as much as they show a flair for the dramatic with their ability. Miguel Felix, Champai, that's Luis Carlos Esteban. Many have nicknames they go by. Here's Felix, MASL player, played for the Chihuahua Savage. There are several. If you've been watching these games, you know there's a lot of Major Arena Soccer League, Futsal Stars, Kings League 7v7, 117 MASL players. Win back on the repress after a brief hold of possession and a steal that came from Jake Schwein, who's the player GM for the 610. But their first crack on the ball today, Gus Valeriano. And his ball out of the back goes awry. It's a Rider University assistant coach. He trained with the Philadelphia Union a time or two, the 6'10" goalkeeper. It's the area code of Philadelphia, one of. Hold-up play, Alonso Hernandez, who is their stud horse right at the top of the formation. The repress is on. Hernandez calls for it. Instead, it's Felix moving it, and then moving out of the middle, Josh De Matteo. So a little bit of hustle and bustle from La Bombonera, but no true early threats. Dogmatic approach of defending from the 6'10". They'll stay poised and not get flustered with not having a lot of the ball. Look to hit on the break when they can. We're able to compile pretty good back and forth with Club America too. Lost 1-0 last night to Drip FC. Just going down by a goal and then that serving out, heading to target score time with it scoreless was the key to their advancement. This is their first year in the competition. Undefeated through 2 group stages now, and the knockout rounds where it really picks up. La Bombonera, they've stayed flawless in the record department. Good scrap to win it. Alonso Hernandez moves it along. Former U.S. Youth International, his shot takes a heavy deflection. Justin Ruth rumbles out, and Ruth into the open field. And he's nudged off the ball. That's good defending, Mauricio Hernandez. The 6'10" wanted a call. Ruth thought that was a shoulder. It's from North Wales, Pennsylvania. Delaware Blue Hen. Much of the roster played college soccer along the eastern seaboard. An I-95 corridor outside of Philadelphia. It's always an accomplishment, no matter what happens from here on out, for the 6'10", maybe even pull the unexpected and colossal upset that they've gotten to the knockout rounds here in the first year of their competition at TST. This has pretty much been the pattern the first 6 minutes of the game. Maybe expect to play out that way. What a goal. What an absolute piece of sensational brilliance there off the reflick right at the top. That comes from Miguel Raboya. Just rolled it along. He cut across the face of goal. And Hernandez found him with the chiseled pass. Just look at that. You can take that option of going zone or mark man, but if you're in zone, you better have spatial awareness. And right there, roaming free, Raboya. Just a little heel flick for the first one for La Bombonera. Well, there's a run inside the penalty area, and when you possess the ball in your defensive half, you can't do that in your half of play with possession. You can have a runner inside the penalty area. So it goes back over to La Bombonera. off the turnover. After a good 5 or 6 minutes, you'd hate to see just falling asleep kind of there along the back for the 6'10". When you're not affording yourself a lot of margin for error. If you can stay within striking distance, anything can happen. We've seen in target score time, but you want that to be a 1 or 2 goal deficit at best. La Bombonera, they can come with the dynamic play right at you, back and forth. That Liga Foot 7 game was one of the best group stage games through 40 minutes, maybe in the 3-year history of the competition. The exquisite play, but they can lull you to sleep too. They can play the game of cat and mouse. They've got all the tools, they've got the depth, they feel they're a deeper team. A lot of their players were poached, including a Chad Porch, with the $1 million goal. He's playing for Concafa, who looked like a real contender after going 3-0 in the group stage. There's a heavy hit again. They wanted Raboya. Same little sense of pattern. Lucinho has worn the captain's armband for La Bombonera, and he's doing that again today. Luis Sanchez. He started with Pachuca in Mexico, had 3 loans there. Much of his career down south. That's a thick rebound that comes off Valeriano. He had to make the save from distance, and then it's rocketed into the stands. Spicy temperatures on field 2. 81 degrees, could get as high as 87. %68% though, the humidity. Here's Tavano. Played in New Zealand with Auckland City and Real Esteli in the Central Americas. There's no linear way to be a part of this competition, no matter what form of the sport you've played across the world, small-sided or in the field. Nudging toward the midpoint of the first half. And the goal from Raboya, who is a Kings League player, so he's used to the 7-on-7 aside, but Pumas Youth Academy player. Manzonis. It's a scrap on the repress for Eduardo Garay. 4 different goal scorers in the opening game for La Bombonera. Portero Hidalgo they beat. Handled business against the Mississauga Dolphins. And then that Liga Foot 7 game, etching it out with a 3-2 victory in target score time. There's Felix. Pony Gallegos out there. Just pluck and prod. They try and suck in that run that comes at the top from Josh Lucchini. He was chasing, nearly got there for the 6'10". Manzonis clears space to win it. Well, you can count on one hand maybe the number of touches that the 6'10" have had in the attacking half. In these conditions too, you're playing a 4th game in just over 24 hours. It's a lot of defending to do. Can they find their way just into a little possession for some breaks and respite? Felix moving it side to side. Gallegos the pony. Here's Arnold. Scoots it along. Monzonis. Now Arnold. Good cross along to the back. They've really got it moving side to side now. Monzonis. Felix. Step off the gas from Garay. He'll hold it up. And back to work goes La Bombonera, bringing in a few new bodies. You have plenty of architects in the back. Such an underrated aspect. Being control of the ball, middle of the pitch. Just you and the goalkeeper behind. Champai getting a little restless, took the shot, it's blocked. And the back pass goes to Valeriani, but right away concedes possession. Good work by Abdullah Nuruddini for the initial block on that shot, but it's short-lived for 6-10. It's a heavy field tilt right now for La Bombonera. They have the one goal. That was Rabayo. Jean-Cobb Ramirez. There's been good positional awareness from the 6'10". They just have to watch maybe that runs in behind, the one that Raboya got back behind the back three. Alonso Hernandez off the pocket, had the shoulder run coming from Champai. It's a recalibration for La Bombonera. To the near side it goes, Rata. That's Luis Olascoga. Call him Rata. Alonso Hernandez, hold up. Little crescendoing here, La Bombonera. They know when to put the foot on the gas. That shot with the direction coming off the near post, or the player at the near post. And the pump back into the middle. Here's the repress out of danger. Seeing Elkaloun did his best, didn't get it away, and right back comes Alonso Hernandez, forcing the save out of Gus Valeriano. Despite a little mini surge there from La Bombonera, it remains 1-0. And the 6'10" hanging in there in these hot conditions. That was a goal given up in the first 5 minutes. Control from Lucinho in the back. Jean-Cobb Ramirez. A little bit of extensive pressure now from the 6'10", or at least a flash of it for the moment from Justin Ruth. He's not afraid to maybe permeate with a few runs that way. But once you lose your gap discipline, then things can break down. Split to the side, Chavita Ramirez. Now for Rata. Lucinho. They can just keep rolling reinforcement after reinforcement. Open look in the pocket. Gaito left it over. Lucinho lashes home. That's classy from the captain.
Luis Sanchez.
Lucinho, Luis Sanchez makes it 2-0 La Bombonera. It's just a lot of shifting defensively from the 6'10", back and forth, and they retreat a bit. That is a wonderful smash. Lucinho. Postage stamp against the team from Philly. And they go up 2-0. Inside of 4 minutes till the half. Little threat forward and a redirection. First bright look in the attack. Dalton Pando was on the receiving end of that pass from Josh DiMatteo. But the 6'10" are going to have to find a way. Look, you can ask the 47 other teams in the field, or those who have met this La Bombonera force, the best way to break them down, to get on the ball, to be in control of a game. Good luck. Sure, there have been a few wobbly moments, but they always seem to auto-correct, and it's made them the TST sensations that they've become in just over a year. Relatively unknown coming onto the radar into the tournament last season. Not only winning the final, but doing it in 4-0 fashion over a non-EFC team who looked the part to be champions themselves for that $1 million prize. Eduardo Garay took his eye off of it. Dalton Pando back across to Ruth. Ruth forward. Pando, slippery touch. Manzonis. Kind of a tight window. That's good re-engagement from Pando, but it will go back to La Bombonera. Boya and Lucinho, the goals for the defending champions with 2 minutes to play in the first half here. Maurizio Tavano for Mojica. Speared away by John Austin Ricks. Now they have the interplay moving again. It's back for Mojica. It's pumped down across, and it's a third, or it wasn't a third. It was going to be. What an effort there by Valeriano. Incredible effort. People had moved into the back of the net. That was netted across the face. But the 6-10 holds it at a 2-0 lead. He'll afford to give up a third. Let's look at that again. Just the intricate passing. There's the header down. Bodies tumble. Somehow it never got over that line wholly. On the seat of his pants was the goalkeeper, Valeriano. After that look, you wonder if it even quite made it to the line. So, La Bombonera with one last thrust here in the first half. Javier Gallegos, the pony. He'll put it over. The foray for Nardini. His cross in is cleared out, but he got Jean-Claude Ramirez to move. Kashase in the game for the 6-10. That's a bad giveaway. But there's recovery in numbers from Ruth. Kashase is there. Final seconds, first half. Ends up at the feet of the pony. And La Bombonera attempting to race into the round of 16. They put up two, nearly had a third. They're in full control for the moment after 20 minutes of action here in the first round of the knockout competition. The $1 million prize, Raboya. And then this spectacular strike from Lucinho. 2-0, La Bombonera at the half. Welcome back to Cary, North Carolina. Second half in the round of 32. La Bombonera looks the part of the defending champions right now. They lead 2-0. Almost made it 3 right before the end of the half. Neil Seco with you. The 6'10", the opponent from outside Philadelphia. They got the last third place spot heading into the knockout rounds in their very first soccer tournament. In the sweaty conditions, hanging tough. A lot of defending though. Ivan Munoz is the second half goalkeeper and for TST time when it comes for La Bombonera. So he's in there now. They're attacking with those burgundy shirts and the black kit for the 6'10" from head to toe. Kept it close and lost in target score time to Drip FC to conclude a very tough group stage, which they made it out of. There's a lead back and a pump down the field. Even with a quick defensive stop, the possession is ceded almost immediately. That was the case on a few occasions for the 6'10". But they're not going to make excuses. This is the way they play. They'll hang in tight for as long as possible and then look to get the break, take advantage of what is usually a rare La Bombonera mistake. They're so focused on the ball and the way they go about these methodical passes. But they'll play in the track meet with you too. Mauricio Hernandez. Here's Gallegos, the pony. A little bit of a slip of a back pass. Every time the 6'10" has moved forward, they've usually been looking for Dalton Pando. He's most likely to run out and get into the attack. Pando was part of the Salt Lake and San Jose Academy in Major League Soccer. Then he played with Nashville's U23, so had a glimpse at professional life or coming up in an MLS system. Lucinho. Quietly one of the great goals so far we've seen on day 3 of the competition. That was a layoff that he throttled in with a little bit of swaz to the upper corner of the net. As Valeriano, he's been called upon a couple of times. Some substitutions now for the 6'10". Munoz. High intensity pressure from the 6'10", almost made a little chaos out of it. Now it'll settle for Lucinho. Popper Hernandez. That last time on the ball for La Bombonera, they had a runner inside the penalty area with possession in their own half, so it went back over to the 6'10". Extensive run. Coming again from Justin Ruth. He is an excellent presser, and he forces the bad pass there from Munoz. Casase played with the Virginia Dream. Well, we've got a similar situation to what we just saw with La Bombonera. Valeriano was on the ball in the back, but there Ruth runs into the opposition's penalty area. You can't do that. I don't know. Potentially fully simmer down the cherry pick. Can't goalkeeper screen. Unlike any competition that many of these players have been a part of, a little bit of variances even from futsal and 7v7. The build up for the 6'10", Ruth. He'll keep possession against Lucinho. Earn an indirect free kick on the restart. Up it goes, down to Ruth. Turned down the pivot and shot it over the crossbar. There have not been many shots from the 6'10", but it's been better here in the opening minutes of the second half. They know they're going to have to make their move at some point. They need the next goal in this game. You don't want to fall down 3-zip to these guys, La Bombonera. But even if it's 2-0 or 2-1 heading into target score time, assuming it stays that way, you always have a shot. Manzonis scrapes it along, little fortuitous deflection. They will award that foul in the end. So it's a corner. That's drifting back, and it's a curious decision on the pass. Pando out in front of the pack. Ruth, those look like the most likely to score. Ruth is called for a shoulder tug. Well, the 6'10" players and the bench not reacting kindly to that one. Daniel Radford is our referee. Ryan Sigich is the second official on the bench. Extension of the pressure. Win or go home. The 6'10" know that. They're starting to ratchet it up a notch. Cross into the middle is dealt with. Now we're here in minute 27. And Andy Arnold, a good look at Gus Valeriani. Advantage looked to be given there after the 6'10" player went down on a call. As Hase he shielded off the attempted run by Chavita Ramirez. Michael Hughes. Ball back toward midfield. Chavita Ramirez wins it back. Advantage given. Mojica upfield. He lost the reinforcements he was expecting to have. Andy Arnold's from Las Cruces, New Mexico, an extensive scouting network. I mentioned that at the beginning of the game. Newcastle, Delaware, the name of the facility for La Bombonera. Extension of their player development and personnel goes all across the U.S. Mojica flings one to the middle. Unkindly deflection. Eduardo Garay on the scamper for it. Hard to keep the high intensity the way the humidity is right now, but the urgency is not lacking. That's the case we've seen from the 6'10" here. Can they find just a little bit of a crevice, something that will pull them back within one? Oftentimes a mistake or a fortunate bounce that can maybe swing the game's momentum. Looking long for Hughes, and you wonder too, La Bombonera knows they're the heavy favorites in a game like this. Never say they take the foot off the gas, but they haven't been tested fully yet and comfortable in this game right now, leading 2-0. Hernandez from Ramirez. Jean Cobb, or Ivan Munoz, the goalkeeper. Jean Cobb Ramirez was the first half keeper. It's a loss of possession, but Daniel Radford was providing a pick. It looked like Joel Embiid in the lane there. 6'10" players not happy about that. They thought they had one possession back. So here's Hernandez on the ball at midfield. 10 minutes remaining here in the second half until target score time. Munoz. Swipe to the outside. That's a giveaway by Tavano out on the touch line. Good win back by the 6'10", but a back pass from Schwein to his keeper. Valeriano. Into the middle it goes. There's a foul. Javier Gallegos, the pony. Saw some fight there from Andrea De Soma. MASL player, one of the few on the roster who played with the Harrisburg Heat. Earns a free kick, and one of the better looking opportunities offensively in the game so far for the 6'10". Trailing 2-0 in their debut appearance of the tournament here and qualifying for the knockout rounds. That last third place spot. Shot goes into the wall. Rebound to a few boots on the 6'10". Ruth even had a glance and now transitioned the other way, but look at the recovery by Dalton Pando. And Pando comes along. Pando's shot is blocked. Wanted to give it a rip. Mauricio Hernandez. Into the throngs of the action, Rai Villa. Villa had a goal last night in the group stage finale. Here is the pony. Thing this humidity is doing, it's allowing that field to dry up. The grounds crew doing a remarkable job. This field even had a little bit of a delay because it was taking in so much water yesterday during the rain. But the entire staff here at the soccer tournament, despite persisting through tough conditions, got through all the games and did a great job keeping everyone safe and also for the conditions for the players. Hernandez. Now Munoz. Return from Papa Hernandez. A 2v1 developing on the outside. I thought the other way to sneak back across the grain. And the interception comes from the 6'10". That long run from John Austin Ricks ends with a deflection. He was hoping to pick out Dalton Pando. Valeriano at one end. Now Munoz maneuvers out of the back. The body slipping and falling. The attack is on from Ruiz. Ruiz to Champai. Luis Carlos Esteban with a block shot and then one that comes past the face of goal. Hit by Papa Hernandez. I think that's also a fair talking point right now with La Bombonera. They've glided through so many of their games with this transition possibly developing upfield until it's snuffed out. Professional performances, but I don't necessarily think you could say they've played their best in this tournament. Now, the elevation of the game last night and the way Liga Foot 7 came at them, they showed their depth. But they still had a few wobbly moments, especially early in that first half when they were getting run at directly by the new names on the scene. And Filio, who was incredible in that game, but logged a lot of minutes. So maybe they're working into that championship form. They look very sturdy and solid for another deep run. And even in a tight game still, with the way the score looks at 2-0, they've been in control. But they themselves have not left themselves, La Bombonera, a lot of room for error. Should something go wrong in these last 5 minutes or so. So the suspense still high. Munoz. The leap comes from Raboya. He was the one that snuck behind the back line for the first goal. That's tough space for Casase. Valeriano just gives it over toward the technical area. Munoz. To pluck out wide for Rata. 33-year-old who had 3 games with Club America. Club America won their final game in their first trip to TST. They beat Nani FC, a rested and rotated Nani FC team. Gonna get a yellow card. I don't know if that's for dissent or not. Daniel Radford put that up. It was away from the ball. Well, Bombonera, if you had a possession stat, you'd say they had it 90%. It's that one-sided in terms of controlling the ball. Shots are 11-5 though. There's 1 on goal for the 6'10". Bombonera with 6. But the majority of those, I believe 5, came in the first half. Just mellowing it out, they feel they're in full control of this game. Look committed to the fact that the target score could remain at 3 right now, should this result hold as it is. One goal from the 6'10" really could change the complexion. Andy Arnold. Another slow build from the back. You can see the 6'10" maybe extending that pressure a little bit more. Aggressive nature. Here goes Ruth. Arnold. Munoz. Setting adrift, Eduardo Garay. Now back over to Andy Arnold. Infield pass. Just this sequence is swinging back and forth. They've got the defense to retreat. And the cross comes in. It's shaved back a little off the byline. Not the best ending to that sequence, but it was starting to crescendo. Valeriano, long and into the attacking half, right on the front door, it's there. Munoz, enough of a distraction, it's just wide from De Soma. There was the moment for the 6'10". There was a deflection. That is a fantastic stop from Munoz. Keeps it a 2-goal game. Bombonera, who's gone about it in the second half rather in a pedestrian presence. They are lucky to not have conceded there, but all credit. There was the moment. Just enough of a deflection, whether it was Munoz, whether it was Mojica. They did enough defensively. But a lot still in the balance. Now some risk taken by the keeper. Valeriano all the way to midfield. Manzoni's heads down off the target play. That was good work by John Austin Ricks. Nice sturdy frame on Ricks to get in there. That's kind of been an issue when they've gone back, and Valeriano's played the long ball, often going awry. So they give possession right back over to La Bombonera. 40th minute. Last of regulation. This thing is far from over. La Bombonera really haven't knocked on the door that much in the attack. They've been content just moving it around. Perhaps a little strategy to tire out the 6'10" a little bit more. And we get to a wider field when you get to target score time.
Sorry, too many.
Players come off after every 3 minutes until you hit that target score. Playing out the string. There's Mauricio Hernandez on it. Daniel Radford says full time for now. Target score time is next. No goals in the second half. That late chance from the 6'10". And in tight for their number 10, DeSoma, but it was deflected. The target score is 3 here in the round of 32. La Bombonera, the defending champs, looking to move on. Back after this.
Remember, a player will be removed from each team.
Target score time here in Cary, North Carolina. 2-0 La Bombonera. So we play till someone gets to 3. And until we get to that point, a player is removed every 3 minutes. Well, the 6'10" in their inaugural tournament, composition of players from outside of and in Philadelphia, former collegians. Living the dream, 7-on-7 for 7 figures. They've defended admirably and even concocted a few chances in that second half, including late on, that could have made this a different outlook at 2-1 instead of 2-0. They need 3 goals against the reigning champions.
Here we go.
Put up 2 goals in the first 15 minutes. And rode the wave of, well, not easy street, but not really putting their foot on the gas in the second half. So we'll see now how it plays out. With Ivan Munoz over and along for La Bombonera. They need 1 goal. The 6'10" needs 3. They got into that final 3rd place spot late last night. Good tackle by Lucchini. Wins the ball back. And that shot that comes immediately off the restart by Hughes. There's some contact right outside the top of the area. Referee Daniel Radford waves up. And La Bombonera backup fields. Mojica. Hernandez. Hernandez resting most of that second half. They were keeping a lot of the stud horses too. La Bombonera ready for this target score time. There's another game to go today too for the round of 16. You play 2 before the quarterfinals tomorrow if you make it that far. For those who think they've got the ultimate shot at winning the prize, strategy comes into how you go with your substitution patterns and maybe give a little bit of that breather for your top players. been the script all game long. La Bombonera. Methodical possession right here near midfield. Andy Arnold. It's Ruiz. So Ruiz. A round over for Miguel Felix. Felix and Arnold back there. Hernandez, great little hold off. And the winning goal was there for the taking. That golden fleece moment left right on a platter for Champai, but shot it wide. Champai has his degree, medical surgeon, obstetrician, for the young man who's done well, MASL player. Hold up play from the 6'10". Crowded in the middle. That's well defended by La Bombonera, and the foul will set them the other way. Coming up on 3 minutes here into target score time. And the 6'10's remaining stop in the tournament, hanging by a thread for the moment. They can't concede. They need a 3-goal comeback to win it. There's a pass that's stolen in the midfield. What a play after the bad giveaway by Felix, and the clean tackle into the challenge to win it back. The breakout was there, and now Ruth and Pando come upfield, and Ruth. Babe Ruth would have hit it into those stands, but that's not what you want here.
And the referee is signaling
target score time.
To now exit the pitch. We are now 6v6.
Now we go to 6v6, and there'll be a breather in the substitution role too. So a dangerous giveaway in the back, and then Felix recuperates. It still led to transition the other way. Player off from each team. Eduardo Garay, one of the 4 goal scorers in their 4-1 win on the first game of the competition. That was Wednesday. Our boy is up top for La Bombonera. And the first of the 2 goals, Lucinho with a laser beam. One that you'll want to watch on replay for the second goal in this game. They were both in the first half. Here's Munoz. Moves it on along, Garay. Straight back comes from Rata. Now Hernandez. Munoz. They've drawn in the 2 players here from the 6'10" in their defensive half. Tavano. Rata. With 7 clubs in the 2nd and 3rd divisions in Mexico before turning to the small-sided game. A little bit of a deflection off the Munoz clearance, and it's got the 6'10" upfield on the drop pass. Bombonera blocking it again. Rata up the line. It took a deflection off 6'10". All the way back it goes to the La Bombonera keeper. On a tired leg, stationary movement right now. They went deep into target score time in the Group A finale yesterday. That was La Bombonera in Liga Foot 7 after an enthralling affair for 40 minutes. We're down to 5v. Pardon. We're just going on substitutions. They're going to take this free kick quickly, and Daniel Radford said, "You've waited too long." Can't do that with the, there's even the stalling tactic in play, even if you're not necessarily standing right on top of the ball. So that's beyond 8 seconds, and Gus Valeriano gonna come all the way forward, turns it over at midfield. Manzonis, this is jersey tugged. It was only a brush of holding him up. Scrambling back to get in defensive position, the 6'10". Mojica. Settled into another risk-averse target score time. Mojica. Berrettini in a scramble. Manzonis fights to keep it alive. It's a corner. Kazhasi doing his best to rescue it in the nick of time, could not do so. So we go to 5v5 officially, past an expanded 6 minutes now here in target score time. We're playing to 3. This is the round of 32, La Bombonera. They won it all last year, $1 million. That money for a lot of the personnel that returned changed their lives for the better. Marlon Trejo, who's ironically roommates with Chad Porch, who was poached by Conquefa, saying he enjoyed some vacations, but a lot of the players, they worked on some home restoration and just a better living situation. Arnold. He'll turn it back to Munoz. The 6'10", threatened with a couple of opportunities in the second half, late on in regulation. But they're losing personnel, just like La Bombonera, but they need 3 goals. La Bombonera, a little bit of leeway here. They just need the 1. Champai, Arnold, Mojica. Munoz comes along. Hernandez. Man v man situation with the 6'10". This is again just stagnant stuff. And for a team that has the pedigree of La Bombonera, you'd think you'd just go for the throat, go for the jugular a little bit more often in a situation like this. Pending something miraculous, which could happen. You're going to play a game later today. Champai. Now Munoz. Drifting out of the traffic goes Hernandez, and back to Munoz it goes for La Bombonera. That's a giveaway in the back by La Bombonera. A little bit of a Bronx cheer from the Philly folks. The 6'10" have it. The keeper back over the cross, and the face was there for Pando to head into space. Munoz is pestered. A little too casual right now for La Bombonera, and all credit to the 6'10".
Now down to 4v4.
Being a little bit of pests. It's 4v4. This is kind of the time that they've been waiting for, La Bombonera. But it's not going to be easy to repeat either. There's some well-revved competitors, you want to handle your business in games like this where you're the heavy favorites early and often. They looked at in the first half, but maybe they're also hitting a little bit of that fatigue with the conditions the way they are. Both teams are forced now into a fourth match in over a day. They've got the bib on and the isolated keeper. Pando, that was delicately done along that touchline just to keep possession. And 4v4, and now for the first time, the 6'10 can really go out and play. There's a breakup of the ball right at the top of the area. Run over on the tackle. You can't slide tackle, of course, so despite the best efforts to win that ball by Lucchini, can't go into a challenge like that. There are no slide tackles at the soccer tournament. 10 minutes of elapsed time. Lucinho. Ivan Munoz, now Lucinho. You've got the pony who won it last night. Javier Gallegos also out there, and Munoz. They brought back the defensive action of Valeriano in goal in this 4v4. Ukaloon, he's defending out along with Hickerson. Quick little substitution. There's basically been one shot each way in this target score time. Not much theater. And an attempt to go forward and score. Almost deliberate from La Bombonera to make sure this thing gets down to maybe even a 3v3 situation. The pony. Over to Munoz. Every time Munoz is on the ball, well, it's something to watch and behold here in this target score time, which is not offered much. And it should be the most enthralling part of the competition. With a team like the 6'10", committed to that style defensively, you go take the game to them if you're La Bombonera. I've just been surprised by how much time they've really melted this game away. It's one thing when they did that last night against Liga Foot 7, who have guys who can immediately beat you in transition, but they've rarely been tested in this game, and that's not a slight on the 6'10". It's just the nature of how these two teams set up. There's more stalling. We're going 13 minutes into this extra session. And the last 3 minutes, this ball hasn't even crossed midfield. Everyone just kind of standing around, waiting on their hands. The fans sitting on their hands, waiting for something to cheer about, something to happen. The Philly fans are known for booing. They don't really need any extra incentive to do that right now. But the way La Bombonera is going about it, they've basically done this deliberately, almost to a 3v3 situation. Munoz is off. Mojica wears the bib, so he can go into goal. Now Miguel Felix. A slow burn here from La Bombonera. Here's Felix. And that goes off of the ref, Daniel Radford. Maybe there's a little bit more of Newtown Pride's gamesmanship in La Bombonera than we first thought. Everyone was on them for stalling and melting things down. They're taking a lot of the same approaches here these last two target score times that I've witnessed firsthand. We go to 3v3. Mauricio Hernandez. But they're calling a spade and saying, the 6'10", we don't think you've got the match winners out there that can beat us now in this situation. But why wouldn't they have thought that when it was 7v7 or 6v6? So Mojica just keeping a balance here with the defense from Nuruddini. They pack the 6'10" into that penalty area. Felix. He'll take a glance. Now Mojica. Thought about it. There's kind of this lull you to sleep effect. And then boom, boom, they go. Ruiz. Felix. Mojica. Didn't pull the trigger. Ruiz didn't. Mojica. Still no one has shot. You're not getting paid by lack of time on the ball here. Mojica, Felix, Ruiz, setting up a timeshare inside the 6'10" penalty area. Mojica. Here's Ruiz. And Felix. All this, but no shooting yet. Mojica. Mojica again. They take a gamble. Mojica doesn't pull the trigger. Now pulled back by Felix. It's like watching a barge trying to turn around in the ocean right now, the way this thing is moving along. Just back and forth. But little sustenance. And Mojica. Give credit to the 6'10". They're just hanging in there as best they can. Nuruddini and Lucchini. I can't believe no one's taken a shot yet in this situation. Mojica gets everyone shifting. Felix and Ruiz. Ruiz to Felix. Mojica. Mojica in. There it is. At the back stick, Ruiz.
And that's a goal. La Bombonera. La Bombonera with the
La
winning goal.
Bombonera. They were putting everyone in a slumbonera for much of that target score time, but they finally get the job done. 15 minutes into target score time, and they cap it off 3-0. And coming in, you would have said this result was never in doubt on paper. Cesar Ruiz gets the Adidas Golden Fleece, but why would you want to expend yourself all this time? Valiant effort from the 6'10" in their first trip to the knockout rounds. They kept it competitive, they kept it close, but La Bombonera was always in control. They milked it for all it was worth. 3-0 is the final score. More coverage of the soccer tournament continues from sticky Cary, North Carolina. Lucinho, that great goal. Ruiz, the capper. 3-0, the defending champs, moving on. So long for now.